Good afternoon. Patrick here from 8 Questions with Have Cheetah Will View. And yeah, it's early. It's 3 o'clock. Um, but of course, as if you've already come to the show a few times, you know that we have a special show today. We are hopping across the pond once again to the United Kingdom to visit our good friend and amazing actress, Kelly Goudie. Um, this will be her second time on the show, but a lot has happened since we've talked to her last. So we will be catching up with Kelly and seeing what's going on. Two of her movies have one has been released and one is in the pipeline. We don't know exactly when it's going to be released over here as far as in the States, but we do know it got picked up by Bayview Entertainment and it will be being released relatively soon. Um, that's what happens a lot of times. A movie will get picked up by a distributor, but they don't really necessarily turn right around and throw it out there onto the shelves. They have release dates, so that way they can keep a constant flow of movies coming out to the public. I know I had to learn that a little bit. Like, okay, the movie's been done, it's been delivered. Why isn't it out yet? Because they release things at their own good time. Uh, so I should be being joined by a special co-host today, our good friend Karen from Ocean Chick Films, um, uh, uh, who's going to come out and hang out with us and see how and talk to Kelly because her and Kelly are both also in a collective called the Final Girls. Wow, this is all of a sudden. I tell you, every time I go on camera, all of a sudden it feels like I got attacked by 1,000 fleas, and I keep looking for dogs. Um, so yeah, she'll be here shortly. So I will tell you what's been going on with the calendar. This is our last week of Women in Horror Month. Um, had a tremendous interview last night with Laura Laura Tyon. Uh, wow, that was a really fun interview, and what a terrific actress and a human being. And we had a lot of fun talking about her career, including her brand new movie Ditched, which is going to be. I also think that also is waiting for her to be released. I know it's out. I know it's completed. I watched it, but I'm not sure if it's. Oh, I think it is on Amazon Prime. Now that I say this, but I don't think it's been. I don't think it's gotten a physical release yet. I know it's been on Amazon Prime, but not physical. And I got to be honest with you, hats off for Amazon for rolling that thing because that movie is bonkers. That's crazy bonkers. Good stuff. If you really want to see a good horror film, I highly recommend seeing Ditch. That one will keep you up at night a little bit. Um, all right. So what's been going on here with the old calendar? Now, as you probably would guess, and you've been here before, whenever we do a show this early, it doesn't mean this is the only show we're doing. It just this means this is just the first show. Because as soon as this show's over with, um, I will turn right around and start promoting for the other show that's coming on tonight. And we will be interviewing actress Monique Candelaria, who's appeared in shows like Lovecraft Country, um, Breaking Bad, and a movie called Driftless. She will be here with us at 8 p.m. And this is going to be a little interesting. This is going to be really interesting. Uh, Her and I always do like a 5 minute pre show with guests. And we end up talking for probably 40 minutes, which is really unusual. But we talked about 40 minutes. And I can't wait to talk to bring her to the show because I think you guys are really going to enjoy her. Um, she has a lot to say, and we're going to let her have the platform to say it in. Uh, and I didn't know this too. This is the cutest thing about this whole thing with Malik. Was I was looking at, you always look at everybody's guests, all their credits, whether it be directing or writing or acting, and there's a tie today in today's first guest being Kelly, and that is they both have done Wild Eye films, and I've reviewed them. Now that seems so that's pretty unusual, but it's true. Kelly has done two, the Baylock Residence and the Ashcroft Entity, and I saw Monique in a movie called The Control Group, and so I was like, what are the chances of that, right? Um, but this being a Women in Horror Month, maybe not so coincidental after all. Um, I've had an absolutely blast doing Women in Horror Month. We've had some sensational shows. Um, uh, have some just some fantastic people rolling in. I could have did this another month, quite honestly. I could have made this into Women in Horror Months because of all the responses I got. Um, and next year I'll be doing. I learned my lesson though. Next year I will be booking this earlier. Um, and so let's talk about what we got going on. We got Monique coming on tonight. Monique Candelaria will be on tonight. Tomorrow, we have the very lovely Nicole Vegas will be here with us on March 30th. Let's see. And on the 31st, we have professional photographer and actress Holly Lynch will be with us at 8 p.m. Nicole's show will also be at 8 p.m. We're back to our regular start time, 8 p.m. And then April 1st, which is a Friday, this Friday, we have a horror legend, Bill Obrist Jr. will be joining us. From He's appeared in Three from Hell. I mean, his honestly, his catalog of work, his body of work is crazy. Um, it's almost Eric Roberts like. He's constantly working. He's and he's popping in from one movie to another. And Bill Obrist Jr. is what I call an elevator performer, which means that whenever show he lands up in, regardless of budget, story, whatever, just his presence alone will elevate the movie. It'll be elevated. So I can see why many directors and screenwriters want him to be in their film because it gives us some cachet, it gives them a little clout. When you sit there and say, "Yeah, I got Bill Obrist for my film," you got somebody. And the good thing about it is that he's not just one of those guys who's going to walk in there, do a scene for the box. I have a feeling that Bill is one of those actors that sits there, reads the script there, and says, unless there's a substantial role here, unless I got some meat on the bone, not going to do it. And I can understand that. Um, Bill has also is one of the favorite characters on Criminal Minds, where he played a very unusual role in that he played a serial killer that got away. You just don't see that on TV shows like Criminal Minds. So he created a very memorable character. Um, and I think, God, if I'm not mistaken, because I don't have a TV, I think they're going to bring back Criminal Minds for a 10 episode run. Who knows? Maybe Bill will pop up there. The one that got away comes back. Could be. Would be very interesting. All right. So let's see. So he'll be here this Friday for a special show at 8 p.m. Then the first week of April sees us with Joe Leone. We had to reschedule Joe. He's the writer, and director of the film Reap, which I reviewed on the channel. He'll be here on April 5th at 8 p.m. to talk about his film. It's a pretty good movie. I mean, it's a good story. It's a good premise. It's he's got vision. Definitely, Joe needs to have Joe just he needs to be taken to the next level. He's definitely got skills, but now he needs someone to go up there and give him a little bit more money. Sit there and say, "Here you go. We see what you can do. Here's, I believe in it. So here's a little bit more money. Go make a movie you want to make." I do believe that he could be the next big thing. And then on April 6th, we have a fun actress. I can't wait for her to get here. Tasha uh, Takasa. Oh my gosh, her credits are just a who's who of fun. Um, can't wait to talk to her. She's going to be a hoot. Um, really delightful and charming and fun. A lot of her movies we probably all have in our collections. I have to go look and double check. I think I have like 2, 3 in my collection. If not, I'm going to get some because I want to see her work because some of those movies just look like absolute joy. Uh, so she'll be here, and then on April 7th, we have the lovely Jennifer Nagel will be here with us. Jen Nagel will be here. Malvoya, the hostess with the mostest, will be here, and she will be talking to us about her career. She also has a very interesting YouTube channel where she has put many she's put many short films on there. Just a little clips. I watched a couple of them today. They're a lot of fun. They're short and sweet and reminded me of watching the ABCs of Death. Maybe 4 or 5 minutes. Stories right there. So really fun channel and some inventive little horror there. So we'll be talking to Jen about Malvoya and her as an actress and where she got the idea from. So that will be on April 7th. So yay for us. On the 12th, we have Caleb Baker will be here. Can't wait for Caleb to be here. Super nice guy. I met him right before Women in Horror Month started, and he was very helpful and patient. I told him that I was going to be booking Women in Horror Month, and because we were talking about doing a spot, and he was very gracious enough to be patient to wait till I could book him in April. So we bring in Caleb on, and then we're talking to a cosplayer, a scare performer. Jenny Aguilar Mickelson will be here with us on April on April 13th at 8 p.m. And then we have the infamous Tim Hatch will be here with us. He's done many movies for Wild Eye, Mark Polonia guy. So we'll be talking to Tim about his career. It'll be fun working in the House of Polonia. I don't know if I guess I should check to see if he's actually I should actually see if he's whoops, 1 second. I should see if he's actually if in the Amityville and Space movie. I should ask him that because if he's not, he should. And of course, the Cheetah is here. The Cheetah is here, and he'll probably make an appearance as well. So I'll probably have two co-hosts. I'll have Karen from Ocean Chick Films will be here with us, and of course the Cheetah will probably be making an appearance. Let's see. All right. So that's what's been going on with this. Of course, I dropped the new Dollar Tree theater video review. Hey, Mr. Bones, how are you? Karen is on her way up. And Kelly will be here shortly as well. And the Cheetah's here. If that's important, the Cheetah is here. He was soloing downstairs when I started this, and then he must have heard me talking, so he came running up to see what's going on. Of course he did, right? Oh yeah, I should mention too. I keep on forgetting this because I keep on doing the 8 questions with. But on Sundays we do have the Midnight Society that's going on at 9 p.m. on Sundays. Me and Al Lucard are bringing the noise. We're talking about Friday the 13th. We just completed part 5, A New Beginning, and next Sunday we'll be on Al's channel, and we'll be talking about Friday the 13th, Part 6. And then we'll be back. Wow. Let's see. Let me see what I do. Let me see how I do this. Let's see. So, yeah. So this, oh, wow. Holy crow. Is it already April already? So April 3rd will be on Al's channel for Part 6, Friday the 13th. And then on the 10th of April, on Palm Sunday, we'll be talking about Friday the 13th, Part 7. We will be joined by special guest Keith Agoraphobe from the Gore Show. He'll be coming up and talking to us about Part 7, Friday the 13th, Part 7. I do believe that's the one where they're on the boat. Yeah, right. Hopefully. Oh. Oh, okay. Hold on one second. Oh, let's see. Yeah, okay. Let's see. One second, I gotta go get oh, that's Kelly. Ta-da.
Hi.
Hi. Let me good. Let me go grab Karen. I sent her the link, but I don't think it showed up in her Instagram. So let me go grab it for her.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. I thank you for pushing this back an hour. I appreciate it. I'm terribly sorry. I never really do that. I've had people ask me, and no problem. But I was like, it was really unusual for me to do it.
No, that's no problem at all.
Because I'm always aware of the time frame. It's like it's 3 o'clock here, but it's 8 o'clock there. So it's like she's just coming off a long day.
It's been a bit of a manic day. So I've just been sending emails and then popped on here like hello.
Hello.
So I use that time wisely.
Let's see. All right, let me go through this. I noticed one thing about StreamYard is this. I noticed that whenever I send it out of country, it doesn't come up like it normally does. Like it has a link, and it has a little bird and a little duck.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do that when I send it out of country.
And all right. It wants you to copy and paste the link in, but
yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the link here, and it's like, okay, it didn't do it for the first time, so now it did it for the second time. That's sort of weird. So Karen will be with us here in a second here. And it's really weird. It's like it's 8 o'clock your time. It's 3 o'clock my time. It's 12 noon her time.
Oh wow.
So we are all over the place.
We're all on different times. I love that though.
We have some people already in the chat. Thank you so much. We have our good friend Bernays is here, and Mr. Dan and Horror, one of my favorite tubers, is here hanging out with us, and he says hello. Can you see the chat okay, Kelly?
I can if I click on it, but then the problem is I'm like this.
Oh right, yeah. We'll do it.
So you do it, and otherwise I'll just be reading.
You know what happens? There is a term that we use for that, right?
Wow.
Yeah. Whatever. Because sometimes you see people on here, and what they'll do is they'll grab a movie or whatnot, and then they'll look in the back of it, and they have to get really close to read the words like this. We call it magooing. Oh, Richard's here. Yes. There was an old character, a cartoon character, Mr. Magoo, and one of the things was he's blind as a bat. So
Oh,
every time he does, he has to be like this. So it's magooing. It's actually a real term.
well, I
Uh
have brought my glasses just in case I needed
oh
to see anything. I was like,
oh
well, then at
okay.
least I won't be like.
Oh my gosh, you just turned into Diana Prince. Holy crow.
I mean, I don't know who that is, Patrick.
No. See, Ricky's here. Patrick and Kelly, my two favorite dudes on the tube. I'm a poet and didn't even know it. I'm dropping bars and I'm flowing it. All right, good job, Ricky.
He's awake.
Yeah, he is awake.
What have you had, Ricky?
Okay, let's go get our maple leaf. Ta-da! All right. Alpha Flight is
Hi,
here.
Kelly.
Yay!
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fashionably late. That's how we do it in Canada.
Good.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
How
are you guys?
I dropped the link. I dropped the link to you, and then I looked at it, and it did not show. It showed the link, but it didn't show the bird. It didn't show
Sure
the
you
duck.
did.
Sure, I did.
Yeah.
I'm here. It's all good.
Oh, sorry.
Wow, this is gonna be fun.
You just
This is crazy fun.
sort you out.
So I got two of the final girls of horror in here, and this is gonna be Mr. Danaher says he has to magoo over his glasses too. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel left out. I might just put mine on to join you both because you both got yours on. Look, we look very studious now, don't we?
Can't
Yeah,
see.
yes, we're all.
Hi,
Lucy's saying
Kelly.
that
It's so nice to see your face.
It's nice to see you as well. This is our first time chatting.
It is, yeah.
It is.
And it's sort of
We've
nice to
chatted
see.
before, but
It's sort of nice to see Kelly without her being in danger too.
Without
Yeah,
me running
yeah.
and crying from things.
I watched your movie last night again, actually.
Did you?
Yeah. It was
Unholy.
so good.
Oh, it's not called Unholy, is it? It's called
The Ashcroft Entity.
That's it. It's called Unholy on the version that I've got. Yeah.
It was good though. I watched it. The second time was good too.
Thank you. Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
It feels like that's such a long time ago. That feels like a whole lifetime ago. But and that isn't even the reason that me and Patrick started talking, is it? It was the other film.
No, it was the other film. Yeah.
It was the other one.
I'm gonna get in trouble.
One.
I'm gonna get in trouble, aren't I? Yeah.
No. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. That's the whole point of film and everything. If you're putting it out there, not everyone's gonna like it. So
right.
That's the point.
It was weird. It's like it was strange. What's really strange about it is like I watched the Baylock Residence. I'm not sure if you've seen that or not, Karen.
I don't think I have actually. I've only seen the one.
Me neither.
Neither.
I'm joking. No, it's not. It's not that
bad. The director, Anthony, right?
Mm-hmm. Who also directed
the Ashcroft.
Yeah.
So Anthony, he likes to do alternate endings. So he put for the Baylock Residence, he put an ending on it. And on the special features, he has the alternative ending. And the alternative ending is so much better. It fitted the movie so much better. And over than the original ending. And you were just sitting there going like, why did he do that? Why? He had a great ending here. He should have went with that. It was so good. And didn't take away from the acting performances at all. The acting was spot on. That's where I met Kelly, and she was excellent. She really is. It's a good movie to watch. Real good movie to watch. I was very happy to see on the Ashcroft Entity, that he had done the same thing. He did a original ending and an alternative, but he kept the original ending this time, and it worked.
Yeah,
it worked a lot better than the alternative.
I haven't seen the alternative ending.
If you get a chance to buy a physical copy of it, like I think Wild Eye released it. Yeah. So I mean, you'll probably be popping up on Hamilton book pretty soon, I would think. I would recommend buying it for sure. Actually, I recommend buying both.
It's good.
Yeah, I recommend buying both because to watch the alternative ending. I mean, you can see it up to the point and switch over and watch the alternative ending. It's really good. He had,
I love that.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely worth watching. It changes the perspective of the movie when you
Right.
see the alternative ending. But the Ashcroft Entity, this is basically almost like the same movie, though, right, Kelly?
Yeah, I think, Anthony really, really loves paranormal. And from my opinion, like a point of view, I think a lot of paranormal films are quite similar in the themes. There's always someone that sees it and it's like, why does no one believe me? And then there's always people being like, you're crazy. And then there's a big, crescendo. And then it's like, see, I was telling you the truth. There is really a ghost. And then it's thin. And I kind of feel like that's kind of the recipe that a lot of sort of haunted films follow. That's my opinion. So I think a lot of them are quite similar anyway. But yeah, I do think that they're quite similar. And Anthony loves shooting films that aren't of this time period as well, which I really enjoy. I think that's his niche. I think that's something that he really enjoys researching on, and he invests a lot of time in costumes and the set and the props and all those sort of things that I think a lot of not all low budget films, but I think a lot of low budget movies sort of not skip over that bit, but sometimes that's what lets it down. It's not the story or the cast or how it was written or how it was directed. I think sometimes the things that let it down is it wasn't shot on the right camera, the sound's off, or the costumes let it down, because people have a limited budget and you do what you can with what you've got, and what you've got is normally a couple of £100 in your back pocket, isn't it? So,
but you're a really good actress, though.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of low budget, supernatural type of films, and you just put something into it that makes it really believable. And I watched it twice too.
Oh,
so.
Thank you. I actually I don't know what we're going to talk about today, Patrick, but last week or 2 weeks ago, I was doing a haunted film, and this was a found footage one. I'd never worked with this director before, and at the end, after you've done it, there's that moment of like, do you like the footage that you have? And he was just like, you're really good at acting scared. He was like, I believed it. I thought you was, and I think that's something that's also difficult, because a lot of the time you are just reacting to things that's in your head. It's a cue in your head that you're like, oh, now something happened, and I'm reacting to like the magic that's going on. And then obviously they edit it all together and it looks brilliant or not, whatever case may be.
Yeah, you just have to do it and trust the process.
Yeah,
have you ever been in anything where it didn't go as well?
Yeah, I think I've been in a lot of I wouldn't say it at the time. You really believe what you're doing, and you believe what you're doing is good, because obviously if you didn't believe in the project, you wouldn't be there. So there's times where I'm like, oh yeah, that felt really, really good. And then you watch it back, obviously, once whoever's taken their work away, because that's what it is. It's, they take you doing your work and put their spin on it and edit it however they want it to, make the final movie. And sometimes I watched it back and thought, oh, I wouldn't have done that, or I would have changed this, or I would have made the end. Because sometimes you write something down and then you get to film it and you're just like, do you know what, this doesn't work. And with the last director that I worked with, he was kind of like really open. He was reading the script and he was like, I don't think this works. Should we change that? Should we do this instead? And that's really, a lovely way to work if you are confident in your abilities to improvise and to just kind of go with whatever it is that they're selling. Right. So yeah, I think, but definitely there's been times when I've looked back on things and just been like, cringe. And you just hope that movie makes its way to the bottom of a bin somewhere and no one ever pulls it out. But they always do. They're like, saw you in this, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
And you can't.
I'm learning a lot. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. I will ramble for ages. So please interrupt me. But
so can I. So I don't mean to cut you off.
No, I think, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a process, right? And there's so many elements you're saying that go into it. And I appreciate that a lot more now, having talked to people that are making the movies. I think, some people jump the gun a little bit too quickly and judge things. And you really should think about all the parts of it, because, you know, like you said, you did your best performance and then maybe it just didn't go together because of the sound quality or, you know, the camera or.
And I mean, and sometimes you put everything in and it's just rubbish. Like it, you know, there's no two ways about it. The final product is a bit rubbish. And sometimes, you know, you as an actor or as anyone that sort of commits to doing a project, if you put your name to, you know, if you're saying that I'm going to show up and I'm going to do this, you're not going to let people down. And sometimes you get halfway through and you're like, oh, this is not going how I thought it would. But, you know, you've got to be professional at the end of the day. And if you said that you're going to do something, you need to show up and put a smile on your face or cry or whatever it is that they want you to do, and just do it, and kind of just then hand it over to the gods and being the directors and the editors and and just hope that they pick a good take for that moment. But it's not always the case.
You know, you mentioned about the, you know, you hope the, you know, if it's not a good movie or a good experience, you sort of hope that goes to the bottom of the bin. I'm glad it doesn't, especially when it comes down to independent horror, you know, like that, because one of the things you and I talked about when we first met was, you know, there's a lot of actresses that would kill to have their name on a release in the States.
Yeah, definitely.
Now you've done it twice.
I've done, I think, well, I don't know. So has Baylock been released in the States as well?
Oh, yeah.
Well, then I think I've done it thrice, because April's just come out as well. So,
April
I have to give myself sometimes a little bit of a, you know, a check and just say, do you know what still the things that you're putting out there or the things I've been involved in have got distribution deals and they are out, and people, you know, sometimes I have strangers message me and they're like, oh, I just watched you in this, and that's a little like pinch you moment, and you don't want to be like, oh, I'm sorry, that's not my best work. You just have to be like, thank you, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And that's something that I have to get better at learning how to do, the more obviously I put myself out there.
Our good friend John Shelton came in here and he's saying, happy to see a British person interviewed. All good. Now we know John must be new to us, because we've interviewed quite a few British fellas up here. We've interviewed Kelly. This is our second time. We've interviewed Donna Taylor was just here. And of course James Darren King was here. So we've had a few. We've had our fair share. But glad you're here, John. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? I should really backtrack that up. Is it? Do you consider how do you know? I mean, actually, I should ask you this before this, Kelly. But do you see yourself as Scottish first, then English, or English then Scottish?
Oh, Scottish. Like,
that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
100%. Like if someone, if on the little form when I have to write where I'm from, Scotland, every day. That's, you know, on my IDs, that's what it says on everything. You know, obviously if someone said, oh, we have English actress here, I'm never like, but, you know, kind of whatever. But yeah, I say that I'm Scottish, and then people are like, yeah, but you don't have an accent. And then you're like, yeah, well, this happened and this happened and this is why I talk like this. And then, you know, I always end up going into like my life story, and like 2 hours later people are like, oh God, I just asked where you were from.
No, they're probably actually, if they're really smart, they'd be sitting there writing a screenplay about it.
Yeah, maybe. That's what I need to do.
So yeah, I just wanted to I wanted to make that, you know, because I don't want to mistake that, because I actually saw somebody who was good friends with their bandmates, and they've been in a band for years, and this one guy started teasing his bandmate, calling him English, and he was Scottish, and 10 minutes later I was in between them breaking up a fight because he didn't like it.
I think my dad gets quite offended if you're like, but he doesn't, you know, he doesn't sound English. He sounds Scottish, so no one really says, oh, are you English? But yeah, no, I live in England, so I don't mind, but I'm not really, I don't want to like slag anything off in case there's lots of English people watching, but like I'm proud to be Scottish and I'm happy to be Scottish, and I, you know, like
John,
that about me.
John has he's apologized. A lovely Scottish actress. John, you are now the star of the show. But you were talking about we're talking about the fact that now you're right. You're going to be on 3 movies now here in the States, and they're all being played. They're being played on platforms. There's physical copies being made. And it's there's a lot of actresses with maybe more credits, but they don't have the footprint you do.
Yeah,
That's how I look at it. I mean, you got 3 movies now,
well,
and
exactly.
I think that's really good because it increases, it increases your presence here. People will know you. Like, I've heard that name before. I've heard it. Where have I heard it before? And I think that really will cause them to go look for you. To come. Okay. Especially if they're at a store and they see a movie and they go like, because that's how I do it.
Yeah.
I mean, when I look at movies, I don't know about you, Karen, but I know when I look at a movies, it's like the first thing I look for is a familiar name. If I see, if I see Kelly Goudie on here, I'm like, I know that person. I know her work. I'm gonna end up looking at it. I'm either gonna order it or I'm gonna buy it. And there's a lot of actors that just don't have that cachet. They just don't.
I think that's a huge credit as well to the indie filmmakers that I have worked with. It's not just they're the people that are working tirelessly to secure these distribution deals and making these contacts and it's a constant slog. And I think sometimes, as an actor, you can kind of show up, you do your bit and you go. And obviously and then sometimes you can feel a little bit impatient. You're like, oh, it's been a year. Why have I not seen anything? I haven't seen anything yet. Like, I haven't been sent anything. But it's because we don't have huge teams. There's not like 50 people working on it. Sometimes there's 3 people, there's 4 people if you're super lucky. 90% of the time, it's one person. It's one person, a lot of late nights, a lot of coffee, and a lot of commitment to their project. So really kind of, I got lucky, I guess, on that respect, because I have happened to have been involved in some good indie films that people have put the work in and managed to get it out there, and I've kind of benefited off that. So I am grateful to those people for doing that.
Yeah, well, I am too. I am too. Yeah, thanks to them that we found you. And I'm really tickled by that. That's what Bones just said. He says he knows of you because of me, and the Final Girls are always talking about you, and that's how it works, isn't it? I tell one friend, your friend tells one friend, your friend tells one friend, and there you go. Like, when the movie comes out, you put out a review for it. And then when people say, what's the best haunted house movies? Oh, I can name you 2. I can name you 2 great, 2, and that's how it works,
Yeah.
It's because it's one thing about indie films. And I'm not sure what it's like over in the UK, but over here, we used to have a lot of magazines. We used to have a lot of magazines where, a movie like the Ashcroft Entity or the Baylock, they would get coverage. They would actually get, someone actually write an article or review or even go Now we don't. Most of the online zines, the only thing they're worried about is what's coming next.
Yeah,
What's the next
exactly.
big studio? Yep.
And it's consumerism, isn't it? We always want more. We want better, like scarier films. We want more blood, more gore, more tears, more like stress. And we're always on to the next. I was thinking about this before I came on here, and I thought, oh, what if you asked me like, what's the scariest film that, in my opinion? And I feel like I'm like so desensitized just because like I consume so much and I watch so much. So then like something could be really scary and something could a few things could be really good, but I'm looking at it with like these, I can't think of a better word, but like old eyes where I'm like, I've seen things and I want scarier things. And sometimes I think maybe I don't give credit where credit's due because I'm like, oh, it wasn't enough. But that's because how many films are available all over the place. But just before I go off on one, I think it's so great that obviously like you guys, you're not over here, like you're not sort of like in the indie film industry in the UK, but like I feel like you guys have done like so much, especially for me I can't be the only one. Like, you guys speak to loads and loads of like indie actresses and actors and filmmakers, and I think it's really lovely that you know, include lots of other people into this community, and you introduce people, and, you know, hello, that's how I know both of you, because you talk, and I think that's lovely, and it's really inclusive.
I tend to gravitate more towards indie films too. They're better. You know, there's more to them. I don't have anything against the newer films, the franchises that are coming out. Yeah, I get it. But it just, I feel like they're kind of like a slap in the face. You pay this huge amount of money to go watch, and it's just the same thing repeated. They don't care. They've just cashed in on the name, and then 8,000 channels talk about them, and you hear every single thing about them, and you get sick of it, you know?
Yeah. I tend not to. I mean, there's a few super fans here. They talk about Halloween and Scream nonstop. I mean, you know, someone could eat a hamburger for lunch, and they're throwing up a live stream about it, and talking about what they had on the hamburger. You know, it's just like, you know, and it's constant. There's no break in it. You know, it's just like, there's no room for anything else. You know, everybody's talking about the latest and greatest, and it's like, wow, I like finding movies like The Baylock Residence. You know, there's nothing more that I love than going and taking a chance on something. You know, it's like, I didn't know anything about the movie, but I'm going to go ahead and take a gamble for it because it looks cool.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to sit there and go like, yeah, I'll go get the latest Scream or the Halloween because everybody else is doing it. It's like, no, I want to go see what's in the corner there. You know, what are they hiding in the corner that no one else has really looked at? To me, that's more fun, because, you know, like, say a year from now, let's say a year from now, all of a sudden, you know, everybody's talking about you. Well, here we are, the small of us are right sitting around here going like, I remember when we met her. I remember when we watched her first movies, and it's just, to me, it's the power of discovery. It's really fun.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like a cool little club to be part of, like, you know, just this friend, like, everyone sort of like supports each other, and well, not everyone supports each other, but, you know, we try and support everyone, and everyone tries to be, you know, lost my train of thought, but yes, I agree, Patrick. Very good point, well made.
Yeah, that's me and Bones we're a lot alike. And Karen's in this mix too. I got to put this in with Karen and Jennifer as well. Bones says he doesn't review new releases because everybody under the moon does those. That's exactly how I look at it too. It's like, you know, when I reviewed The Baylock Residence, you know, it was like I was the first person that I knew in this little community. I'm not the first person, but I was the first person in the little community. And it's like, you know, and then I passed it on to somebody, and then they passed it on to somebody. And next thing you know, then Karen got a hold of it. And the next thing you know, it's like, now we all talking about it. And that's what's really fun, because a lot of these films just don't, you know, they just don't have the publicity. They don't get the publicity. They don't get the screen time. They don't get the Dread Central's not going to talk about it. They might throw out a little blurb, but unless you're specifically looking for that, you're never going to see it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I really appreciate being able to talk to you, Kelly, and people like you, because, wow, we get to really understand the behind the scenes and everything that goes into making the film. I think that makes it so much better. Like, when are we ever going to, like, Patrick, let's be real, when are we ever going to have, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger or somebody on our show?
He's on tomorrow.
He's in okay.
I don't, you know, you say that like that, but you've already grabbed like the Arnold Schwarzenegger of the indie horror community, Karen.
I did. Who?
Yeah.
Kelly?
Yeah.
Oh no, I was like, who was it?
I mean,
who was it? Karen, you're gonna be really embarrassed if you don't remember this person.
She got Brett Kelly.
Oh.
Brett Kelly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That
was fun.
That was fun. I was so jealous.
And like that, yeah, that must be like really it's exciting to be on this side of it. So for you guys as well, like, and I think you guys are so dedicated to what it is that you do in your channels.
Very.
And you know, the research. So when you get that sort of like, not payoff, but then when someone's like, yeah, I want to come and talk to you and sort of let you see inside my brain for a little bit, I bet that's like just such a good feeling, because then you know that what you're doing, you're on the right path with it.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun discovering. I mean, like I said, it's really fun, and not only that, you know, because you just never know what happens. You know, you just never know who's going to hear it and what they're going to do with it. You know,
Right.
But you know, you mentioned one other movie that we talked about briefly, and that was you got a role in a movie. That's a great movie, by the way, too. April. Yeah, that's a keeper.
What is
I've
it
seen it
about?
now.
I haven't seen it yet.
No, I'm a viewer. You tell us, Kelly.
Okay, so April, I feel like I should read, I don't, because it's available, so I'm not going to tell all the secrets, but April is about gosh, it's a bit dark. It's set in London, and it kind of follows this guy whose life is basically just is falling apart, and it's kind of like he's maybe made some mistakes in the past, and throughout the movie you kind of think, oh, maybe he's trying to better himself. Miles is trying to become a better person. He's trying to right wrongs that were either that he's done or that, you know, his family members have done. He's got like an abusive dad, and he's kind of like trying to ensure that he doesn't become like him. And unfortunately, he's so busy spending the entire film trying to get out of doing the bad things that he just does all of the bad things. And
it's wow.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I want to be like, and then this happens, and then this happens, but it's available in Walmart.
I will say oh good. Bayville got it in Walmart. I will say this, and I'm saying this strictly as an unbiased, strictly moviegoer, viewer, reviewer, whatnot. Kelly has in the best scene of the movie.
100%. Like, and I do not pat myself on the back ever. I watch things back I have like huge imposter syndrome. I'll go to an audition and like they could offer me the role and I'll still come out and be like, I don't know what I'm doing. I can remember when I went to film April and I sat in the car. They were like, sit here, get ready, socialize. And I was like, oh no, thank you. Because that's what I do. I was like, oh no, I need to just go in my car and panic for 4 hours, which is what I did. Went in my car and was like, I don't know why you're doing this. You can't even act. And it got into my head, and then went in and did the scene. And it was one scene, and I'd never worked with them before. I'd never met them before. You know, I'd spoken to them over the internet. That makes it sound like I hadn't. I knew they were safe people. I didn't put myself in danger. People knew where I was. But I went and, and it's always a bit nerve-wracking acting in front of someone for the first time, because you think, well, I'm here now. They're going to have to use me. So I need to do something quite good. And it was a really intense scene with lots of different emotions. There was like hatred, there was love, there was like just despair and desperation. And we ran through it a couple of times, and the director was just like, just go for it. And I was like, okay. And normally, you know, you try and just go for it and give it everything. But sometimes that little voice in your head's like, don't do this because I'll think you're weird. But I managed to shut that voice up that day. And me and Neil, who was the actor that I was acting against, Neil Ward, we were being like a bit physical with each other, because it was a bit of like an intense scene between lovers. We have a child together, and I just said, like, I'm going to put my hands on you, and I'm sorry, but I'm just going to go for it. And we just went for it. And then afterwards, I felt so good. I literally went in to get all my things and just sat in the room and like had a little happy cry and was like,
emotions,
did it. And then when I got a link and I could watch it, I was like, oh God, please be good, please be good. I hope they've used the good takes and it's all edited lovely. And I watched it and I was just like so proud. And I didn't even have to, normally I'll censor things, so like I'll quickly watch it before I show Dan. I didn't this time. I said, right, we're just going to watch it together and we're just going to go for it. And he is a really tough critic. And he was really complimentary as well. So I was like, oh, good job, phew. But I love it. I love it. I love my
I
scene.
can't wait to see it.
Yeah, you'll be blown away by it. It's the most important scene in the movie. It's the nexus of it, and and the trust that you had, the trust that see the director, he had to have an enormous amount of trust to give you that scene, and that speaks to your ability. That's like, okay, I'm going to put the best actor that I can into this role because this is the most important part of the film. I can't just put anybody there. I got to put good people there. And you and Nia were just electric. And I think it says a lot that scene was everything. And even though it was just the one scene, but it was everything. But he didn't give that to anybody else in the movie that was in the movie longer, like like the lead or anything else. He's like, okay, I got the most important part. Do I give to someone a little bit more inexperienced? Do I give it to the actor who can really bring it? And I thought his choice was brilliant. I think he did it right. And so it definitely, it's like people might see you as as a screen queen or a horror actress because because of Baylock and the Ashcroft Entity. But I think people who see you in April are definitely, I think that role, and once more and more people see it, I like to think that's going to open more doors for you. It should.
Yeah.
It's that good. Yeah.
That's what I hope. And I think like on our last interview that we did, and you were like, oh, so what sort of roles are you looking for? And I said, chavvy mom on the council estate that's gobby and that just says it how it is. And that's who she is. Like, that's who this character was. But obviously she wasn't as just two-dimensional as that. She had all these layers, and it was so nice because while it even was a short scene, I got to go through all the motions, like, and I felt like I loved him, and then I felt like I hated him, and then I wanted to punch him in his face, and then I wanted to like pull him in and kiss him, and it's so nice when something is written like that and it takes you on a journey, and it's not just like, oh, you did this, and it's just, it was really well written. Neil was really good to work with. It's nice when you have someone that you connect with, that you can kind of like, it's ping pong. You bat it to them, they hit it back, and you just kind of go with how hard they hit it. And and we did. And I think at one point I came out and I pushed him right there, and I was like, yeah. That didn't make the movie, but that doing it a couple of times, in the end we were just like, felt like we was going to fight. But it was I love that. I love feeling it.
After that role, did you feel just completely re-energized?
100%.
Re-energized as far as you had such a great time doing that role. Did you just feel re-energized as far as the auditioning process goes, looking for your next project?
Yeah, I think the audition was really fun. The audition was the scene. I got sent the scene, and it was on a Sunday, and I said, right, Dan, you're gonna have to come and do this scene with me. So Dan always helps out with my self-tapes. He's getting quite good at it now. Sometimes I have to say, all right, you're not auditioning, so can you just be quiet, please? So this was a little bit different because he'd never done an audition with me where it was an argument, and we needed to go for it. And we did it down the stairs, and we set all the lights up and set the camera up, and we were doing it in the literally in our hallway between our front room and kitchen. And we did it a couple of times, and he was like, once you do it a couple of times, he's getting into it, and he's like arguing, and it was just a great experience doing the audition. And then we watched it back, and in my audition I was, she cries, and I was watching it back and I was crying, and he was like, you are so dramatic. I'm watching, he's looking at me, watching me cry, thinking like, you are full of yourself, because I watched it and I was like, I believe her, she's good. And sometimes you don't always feel like that, especially in an industry where it is 99.999% rejection. It's just no. So then you do start to doubt yourself, but then you get an audition like that, you do the audition, you get really good feedback. And after I did the scene, I was waiting for them to call cut, and no one was calling cut. And I was like, oh. And then you're like, oh my God, have I forgot something? No, definitely not. No more lines. And I slowly sort of turned, really slowly. And they're all stood around the monitor, like, watching it. And all the other actors that had been hiding, they sort of came out and they were like, that was really good. And these were like strangers that I'd never met, never even seen some of them before. And just to have like a stranger tell you that you're good at something that you think that you're good at 90% of the time is so, like, just so good for the soul. Because sometimes you think, oh, what am I doing? When people are like, oh no, you didn't get that role. Oh no, you didn't get that role. And sometimes you get these auditions through and you might not get the role and you think, how did I not get that? But it's all what is meant to be will be. And the roles that I do get are the roles that I'm meant to get. So I just have to make sure that when I get those roles, I smash it out of the park to the best of my ability, which is what I try and do.
Do you think your confidence kind of will grow as your career grows? Or do you think that, having that little bit of insecurity is a good thing and helps it come out like things better?
I think I'll always be a little bit insecure. I think that's part of my makeup. I think,
right.
But I think whilst I think it is, it has good qualities too. I think I always say humble. I don't think like, I'm never like, even in April, I was like, I could have, afterwards you are like, all right, what could I have done better? As soon as I finished filming that film 2 weeks ago, I got home and was like, I was still doing the scenes. I'm in the bathroom brushing my teeth and I'm reacting the scenes and I'm like, oh, I should have done it like that. And I think, but that's because I'm passionate and I want to make sure that it is the best that I can do. Right. But that is impossible. And I think if you ever get to a point where everything that you do is 110% and it's the best thing, you should probably stop, because the whole point is to grow. And I think to grow, you have to know your flaws. And I'm
excellent advice for YouTubers, because people get very easily frustrated that things aren't performing and the numbers aren't there. But I think the point is you should always be looking within yourself and improving what you're doing. And I think that's really good advice to give whoever's listening right now, for them to hear.
It's hard to follow, isn't it? Like sometimes, you do have these days where you're like, oh, I can do anything. Like I am woman, hear me roar. But then other days I wake up and I'm like, I literally don't know what I'm doing for my life. But then I'll go somewhere and someone will say something to me. Or so I have a drama school, and one of my students' mums came up to me, and I was having a bad day this day. I don't know why, but she said, oh, just to let you know, William has decided that he wants to be an actor because of you. And if he can't be an actor, he just wants to come and work with you. And I was just like, that's just the best thing. So it's about kind of like, there's little pick-me-ups of confidence. You just got to kind of look for them and not focus on like one thing all the time, I think.
Great. Yeah. Yes.
So as far as the new movie go, tell us a little bit about it. Tell us what you can about it. How did you hear about it, and what was the auditioning process like?
So I'm getting a lot of my roles from people. So I got April from you, because obviously you introduced me to Darren. You messaged Darren and said, I know somebody. And then
you know what, that's so overblown. All I did was, hey Darren, watch this interview, and then that's what happened. So tell us about.
So on this one,
your talent got you the role, Kelly.
Thank you. Well, you helped, and this person also helped me. So Ricky, hello. After I did the interview with you, whenever that was, Ricky messaged me and said, you should speak to Mansfield Dark. They're a local filmmakers, they're in Nottingham, and you should just introduce yourself to them. So I did a little bit of research, which you do before you just start popping up on people's messages being like, hi, put me in your film. That's how you end up in the bad film. So yeah, so I did a little bit of research and was like, oh, these are good. And his thing is found footage, and I've never done found footage before. And I know that like people either love it or they hate it, but I love it. So yeah, I just messaged him, and then we met up for a coffee, and I think that was just to gauge like if we got on, blah 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 blah. And then he asked me to do an audition for him, which I did. And then he came back with a script for just as for a found footage, which was first time doing found footage. It was tricky. Like, it was acting, camera angles, holding this, and then sometimes I'm holding two cameras, and you know, there's a camera over there, and there's a lot to do. There's a lot for my brain to process. And sometimes I was like, oh my God, I was doing really good acting, but I've got the, you know, I need to make sure that you can see my face. So we did that. We shot it in, we were supposed to shoot it last year, but because of COVID, excuse me, and then I think he got COVID, and then it just wasn't a good time, and then it was Christmas. So we filmed it in 5 days 2 weeks ago, and it was, you know, intense, long days, but it was a laugh. It was just for those parts, it was just me and him. There are some other actors that are going to be put in, which is he's doing those sort of bits now, and it is about so what we've done, I told him obviously that I do some special effects makeup, and that is something that I was kind of like wanting to slowly put out there, because, you know, because I like confidence. I can't just be like, yeah, I can do that. I'm always like, well, maybe I can do a little bit of that. So he was like, let's do this. She's a very kind of stereotypical YouTuber. Hey guys, blah blah blah. So she's a YouTuber, and she's a stupid YouTuber, not like, no disrespect to any YouTubers, but she's just there for the likes. Okay. So at the start,
we know a few of those, don't we, Karen?
That's who this girl is. She's a Wally. So there's a very strange proposition at the start of the film, and she's like, oh, but what about my followers? Like, and she's just doing it for the likes, basically. She puts herself in danger. She's an idiot. I absolutely would not do any of the things that she did. But yeah, that was a really fun experience. So I think he's got lots of other bits to do, and he's a one-man band. So I think he's aiming to have that finished for Halloween this year.
Yeah, that's that. Now, have you ever watched found footage films yourself, Kelly? You ever watched those? You ever watched the genre?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched a few. I know that obviously when COVID happened, they weren't necessarily found footage, but there was a lot of this like remote filming, you know, lots of like murders on Zooms and things like that were happening as well. So yeah, but I know, you know, obviously Blair Witch was massive, and I know I'm talking about popular, like the big commercial films. I'm not talking about the indie films, but yeah, I enjoy it, and I think I think that is scary. You know, like seeing someone's snotty nose. That's real. That's not like, oh, camera angles, jaw lines, and like, is she stepping out the shower seductively while there's a murderer behind her? Do you know what I mean? I think it's real.
Yeah, I think a lot. This is my personal feeling. I think a lot of people, they hate on the Blair Witch Project. I think the reason why they hate on it so much is because they refuse to really acknowledge one thing, and that is it scared the shit out of them.
Yeah, definitely.
It really did. It's like all these people are sitting there going, I hated that movie. No, you didn't. You didn't like it. You didn't like it because you were scared, because it's a scary movie.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know anybody that when it came out that hated it. But now you see that all but now, and it's like, no, you just didn't like it because you got scared, and you're too much of a, I guess, a Wally, I guess, to admit that. I love found footage films.
Yeah,
I have no problem with it. The only thing that bothers me about found footage, and it's like it always seems to be doom and gloom. It's like you sort of know the ending before you start the movie. And I think sometimes they need to get away from that. Like, you could take it up to a certain point, then have a regular ending if you can. That's the only thing, throw off because it's too much of a formula. But what did you do to get into your character's head? How did you create your character?
So I watch a lot of YouTube, and I watch a lot of these girls that I just sort of mocked. And, I think kind of, she's not like a caricature of those. She's, it's naturalistic. But it was kind of about just creating this person that was the opposite of me. Like I get nervous putting a picture of myself up on my own Instagram page, like my personal Instagram page where it's just my friends that follow. I'm like, oh my God, is that fine? And then sometimes I'll post it and then I'll be like, oh my God, I need to delete it. But she's not like that. So it was just about taking me and like flipping it. So any sort of like common sense, any like little seeds of doubt that I have, she just doesn't have, and she's just fearless. So I pretty much just played the opposite of me. Again, that was obviously there was a script. Some bits are improvised, where the director was like, this is what I want to happen, which is fun because I think there is a lot of comedy in this because, sometimes when you are just talking to yourself, I come out with a couple of bits of gold sometimes and I was like, that is good. So then, when we do it again, I'll be like, right, I'll put that line in. So yeah, I think creating her was quite simple because I watch YouTube all the time. And even those people that I don't like on YouTube, even those like really famous, like beauty gurus that I don't necessarily follow because I'm a fan of, I'd watch for a bit of inspiration. And they do have this fearless side to them. Obviously, that's what they're putting out. You don't see what goes on behind closed doors and everything. But it was just about playing that facade of like, hi, I'm so confident. I don't mind looking ugly on camera because I've got 1 million followers and you love everything that I do. And having that like sort of air of arrogance, like I can do no wrong. So just being the opposite of myself.
That's fun. Last night, my daughter and I watched a bit of the Academy Awards just on YouTube, little clips and things. He had a lot of fun with it. I'm not going to say anything, but we were having a lot of fun with it too. I was like,
but sometimes, like, even
so
when you watch,
to have a designer designing your gown,
yeah, and they're like,
yeah.
And sometimes I was watching them pose. The camera's cutting, and they're like, some people are in front of the paparazzi, and they're like, and I'm just like, how do you look like an actual model? Like that's an actual like. How do you not feel stupid? Like, ooh. Like how does that, but because they know that people are going to buy that stuff anyway. It doesn't matter what they're wearing. They could wear a bin bag and someone still buy the magazine, they still make money,
right?
So I just have to believe that about myself.
Yeah. Does this movie have a title yet, a name?
Not yet. No, not yet.
Okay. You'll let us know then when.
Yes, I'm just thinking, well, does it have a name? I don't want it to say the wrong name. How bad is this? This makes it look like I've got loads of projects. Like, oh, let me just check.
Your book.
I don't have loads of projects. I have this and another one. No working title. No name as of yet.
Okay.
While she's doing that, I want to acknowledge some people in the chat. Echo Cyril is here. He says Blair. He saw Blair Witch when it first released on home video. My cousin got to rent it from Hollywood Video. Yeah, it was a different experience in the theater, Echo. I mean, I saw it in the theater, and I can tell you right now, all those people in there were spooked, pretty much. There was a lot of screams, and they all weren't from the women. See, Jamie mentioned she saw it. She found out she got it spoiled before she saw it, which is the case today in YouTube, right? So she didn't have quite the effect on her like it should have, but she still liked it. Let's see, our good friend Derek is here, old school Shinobi, always welcome, always. And Casey's here, and Spooky Kisses. Hi, Spooky. This is awesome. Wow, this is so cool. Glad you guys are all here for our interview. This is lovely. Go ahead, Karen. You got a good line of questioning going.
No pressure,
put me on the
Karen.
spot, Patrick. Now I'm like, Okay, can we go back to the Ashcroft Entity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, were you scared filming it at all, or did you think, oh, I'm just acting? I don't believe in any of that stuff.
So I absolutely do believe in the paranormal. I am 100% a huge believer, and like that's what me and Dan do. We like watching ghost footage on YouTube.
Yeah,
I've got a box of ghost hunting equipment that no one will come ghost hunting with me. They're like,
I will.
Kelly, we don't know. Well, let's go, because I really, really want to, and I know that like. Anyway, we'll get into that another time. So, was I scared? No, because do you know when you're doing all those scenes, all the oh my god, and you're trying to get into that like frame of mind?
Yeah,
you just like, for me, you know, and imagine a lot of actors, you know, you just have to go to a really sad point. So I normally filming those roles, I'm not like super scared. I'm normally just quite depressed by the end of it, because I've literally just thought of like everything traumatic in my life to like keep the emotion there. And obviously in these haunted films, like the paranormal stuff, the emotion has to be like right underneath the surface at all times, because you do have to go from that like to so it's about kind of like keeping that little ball of emotion there. So no, I wasn't scared. I was just really sad.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Plus, it's out of context too, right? Because you're filming the scenes all over the place, or not all.
Yeah.
And
and then something like, so in the end, so at the end, do you know, we're all around the table and the medium's there, and it's like the books are everywhere, and so obviously in the film you just the entities, and oh my gosh, it's so scary. In real life there was literally a man with a huge industrial leaf blower, literally like under the table, and my face was like my wig got blown off at one point, because I had like I think my head was like almost shaved at that point, so I had some wigs blowing off, and it's really funny, and you're trying to shout your lines and be, you know, over this leaf blower just so we all know what we're doing. So I think it's just really funny, because then they'll be like, right, we're going to do this now, and it'll be like a scary, it'll be one of the hauntings, and you'll be like, oh, that's my arm, that ghost right there, that was me, that shadow, I was doing this. So it's always in the wrong order. And I think sometimes, again, on indie budget films, obviously I don't know what it's like to work on a big commercial film, but you are just trying to get through as much as possible in the time that you've got, because normally they either haven't got the location for that long, you know. And that place where we was filming, that was his partner's grandparents' house. So towards the end of the film, bless them, they were down the stairs being dead quiet whilst we're like up the stairs, like pretending that there's like a big ghost. In fact, she's in the film. Do you know the lady that knocks on the door?
Oh, the lady. I love that scene. I love that lady. She was great.
She was great. She used to be a dancer when she was younger. And interesting fact, the outfit that I wore in the Baylock residence was her clothes back in the day.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
Hey,
now I've got to watch it again.
I will have to say, we talked about this earlier about the I do think that one major strength Anthony did was the set design. His set design was awesome.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, you know, the Ashcroft Entity was set in the 70s, and he was really painstakingly, there's a lot of effort put into it to make it look like the 70s. And I mean, he even had the rotary phones, and it was just really cool. You know, the cars, I don't know how he got the cars. I mean, he did the same thing with the Baylock residency. It was set in the 40s, and he got the cars from the 30s and the 40s there into the movie. I was just like, wow. I mean,
a lot of the time it's literally just asking. It's just going on like Facebook groups, going to like car enthusiast pages, you know, and being like, hey, I'm doing this, can someone help me? And you know, the worst case is that no one comes back to you, but 9 times out of the 10 there is someone that's going to be like, oh, but again, that's a, you know, it's a time restraint, so they're available for 20 minutes on this day, so you have to get everything that you need to get done on that day, because they're doing things out of the kindness of their heart, or for, you know, not a lot of money. So.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the people who donated. I mean, you know, that came out there, because car enthusiasts, it's just one thing they like to do, and that is they like to show off their wheels.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times, you know, when they do that, someone will say, hey, you know, like the Fast and the Furious films, they went out there and said, hey, you know, we're looking for some drivers, you know, we're looking for some cars. And next thing you know, you got a couple hundred cars right there, you know, for nothing. You know, it's like they just want to show it off. I really appreciated that. I really appreciated that part of about the Ashcroft Entity. It looked definitely set in the period. He did a really nice job with that.
Yeah, it did, absolutely. Sometimes that's not always the case in movies. You know, they try to replicate that time period, and they don't quite get it. You know? But us old folks, me and Patrick, when we were around that time, we know what it looks like. It was.
Some of us better than others, like myself. Yeah, I was a '70s kid.
Me too.
Yeah. So, you know, as far as the scare aspect of it goes, Kelly, I mean, you know, you know, that must have really helped you shape your character. Had you ever had any encounters yourself when you were younger that you could draw upon? Did any of your friends ever share these stories with you? Because especially once you sit there and say, I'm playing in a role that I'm in a haunted house. Did they all come with you with stories about, you know, about their encounters?
So I have had some interactions with the ghosts. I do think that I've had interactions. I used to have so when I was younger, I used to be like the biggest scaredy cat ever. And just talking about Scream, I remember borrowing that film off like one of my friends who had it, because I would never be allowed that film in my house, because I couldn't watch 101 Dalmatians without getting nightmares. Like, I was a wimpy kid. Like, Cruella de Vil was terrifying. And I can remember watching Scream. And you know, like when Drew Barrymore, when she dies at the beginning, that death probably took me about 20 attempts to watch, of kept pressing play, pressing stop, pressing play, pressing stop, because it was so like scary. That was but yes, ghostly happenings. When I was younger, I used to dream a lot about it was dreams, but I don't think it was dreams. There was always a little girl that was just around me, and without getting like too deep, so my mum passed away when I was 5, and she's been around. I don't know, she's definitely, like, I can remember when I was about 12, and I had like a bed that had like the bed on the top, and then it was like bunk beds, but it had a sofa underneath, and obviously I was asleep on the top bunk, and my mum was just in my bedroom, and she was sat on the floor, and she had a t-shirt on, and my mum had motor neuron disease, so memories of her, she's in a wheelchair in all of my memory. All of my memories, all 3 of them, but when she came to visit, she was just sat on my floor, and she didn't say anything. She was just sat there, and I got out of bed and just went and sat with her, and woke up and I was on the floor. So I absolutely believe that happened. I used to feel people pulling my hair all the time. When I saw a medium in Spain she was a medium from Holland, but she lived in Spain. There was no way that she could have known anything. And she told me things that literally blew my mind about my mum. But of course, because I was so young, you know, when you're just like, I mean, I don't even know if that's true. It could be true, but I was 5 years old. Like, I'm not going to remember these things. Right. But she used to tell me that it was my mum pulling my hair. And then a few years later, I went and visited somebody who used to look after my mum before my mum passed away. And she just said, she was telling me, she was like, what do you want to know? And I was like, oh, I just want to know, like, cool, like, just tell me little, like, trivial things about her. And she said, because my mum couldn't use her hands, what she used to do before I'd leave, she'd tell me to come next to her, and she'd literally grab the smallest amount of my hair and just give it a little tug. And it was kind of like, that's if you're naughty. Like, so she was telling me off before I was naughty. And yeah, then it's kind of like, as I've got older, all that's, you know, been put together. And so, yeah, I have had experiences with ghosts. None of them have been bad. Dan thinks, because I feel things in every house that or everywhere. Dan doesn't think it's the houses. Dan thinks it's me. Dan thinks that I'm like, there's things around me. And I've gone to like spiritualist churches, because I was right into this at one point. I was like, you know, when you just kind of want to believe in something. So you're like, I'm just going to go to everything and I'm going to listen to what everyone's got to say. And I went to a couple of spiritual churches, and they would tell me that I had like loads of people around me. But I've never felt like scared. Ghosts don't scare me. Like, real human beings terrify me. That's real scared. I've been scared when I've, you know, been followed home from somewhere, or, you know, someone's doing something that is making me feel very uncomfortable. That's like, you know, that fear where you're like, I need to run. Like, I actually need to run now. That's
Keep it going.
For me, true crime shows are really difficult for me to watch. It has to be the right time of day. I can't watch it before I go to bed. It scares me so much more than ghosty stuff. Is kind of, I'm just really interested in it and I want to hear things about it. But true crime really does freak me out. I think like
the ghost thing is kind of like, it's that excited scared where you're like, do you know when you watch a film? Like, sometimes I watch horror films by myself and I'll have sort of like no reaction. I'm just like, and then I watch it with like friends who are really like, they hate horror films, and they're all like, oh, and then I start getting like that because they're being like that, and you feed into each other's energy, and that's fun. It's fun to be, you know, it's fun scared. But absolutely, real people are more terrifying than anything.
Yeah. So you like doing the drama kind of stuff. So will you have sort of troubles with that when you're reading a script that's about a killer and it's very disturbing, or will you just fall into it just like you have with every other role?
I like to think that like those sort of roles, I like to think that I can just kind of fall into them. I think sometimes I read things, I've read a couple of scripts from people that I'm like, you don't like women. Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you read things and you're just like, oh, who hurt you? Like, why are you so out? And so sometimes I'll read it and I'll be like, oh, or then this will happen, and then this happens to her, and it's just like a whole heap of like violence on women for like not any real reason. And like that's when I'm a bit like, oh. But I do think, you know, I think if I've the latest script that I've read is a bit different because I'm the baddie and I never play a villain, and I get to be the villain, and I'm like the scary person. So I can't wait to be her, because I read that and I was like, yo, she's dark. And that was exciting because I was like, that's meaty to me. That's like, how am I gonna make her as scary as they've written her? Because she's dark. So yeah, I do like to think
you in a role like that.
I would. I'm excited to see what happens, because she's like, I think she's like a cult leader, and she's kind of at the beginning she's all very like calm and then I think like obviously the mask starts slipping down and she just becomes like more deranged and unhinged, and there's just she's got no boundaries. She's just like and I think normally we see men play these roles and they're scary, and I'm just going to try and make her like as messed up as possible, because I want people to be scared of me.
Right. I'm
trying to imagine the villainess right now, and I'm just like, I can see that, and I'm like, I'm sort of like getting sort of scared, because it's like that'd be frightening to see you mad at me or wanting me to come inside your cult. Let's see. Doomsday Crypt is here. Hi, John. How are you, sir? How are you? Mr. Danaher, I agree with you. True crime is scarier. Yes, for sure. It seems like that's the big thing now. Everybody wants to outscare everybody with their true crime stories. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I just got a solicitor at the door, and it's like, no, go away. Jamie's into real crime too. there's an unsolved murder in my own family. Sometimes I'll tell a story in a video. Ooh, well, yeah, tell us. Maybe we'll come together and help you solve it.
Oh my God, can you make sure that I find out about this as well? Who's that?
That's Jamie Hart. Yeah, maybe she should. That would be actually really cool to get a real life mystery and just actually chew on it and do the research and find out about it. I mean,
But that's the thing. There's so many like real life things out there, isn't there?
Yeah. It makes you sort of wonder why ghosts even bother knocking on the door, because they're like, okay, we're on the other side. Why would we want to go back to where we came from? Because it's scary.
Think about that too. Yeah,
exactly.
I villainous, huh? Yeah. Have you ever played a villainous before or anything?
A lot in theatre. I think especially when I was training and when I was a bit younger, like I was always cast as like the unhinged one, because it's exactly like they're fun to play. It's nice to play someone that's a bit crazy and it's a bit like, well, you don't know what's going to happen. So, and that I think it's fun to watch because you don't know what's going to happen, but it's also fun to act because you don't know what you're going to do. So yes, I have played them before, but not for a very long time. I kind of got put in this like, oh, she can cry. There you go. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes people are like, oh, can actual water come out your eyes? Right, victim, get over there. And now I'm like, let me just at people. I don't know what she does yet, but I know she's bad.
When was it start shooting?
So it's starting shooting. So this is it's a series. So it's starting in April, which is obviously a couple of days away. But I'm not in it until episode 4. So there's lots of stories to be told before I rock up and start doing whatever it is that I do.
Wow. Okay. So hopefully we'll be seeing this. Yeah, we can't wait either.
I can't wait. It's excited.
You mentioned earlier that you're teaching. How are you teaching now, or how'd you get into that?
So I was temping at a job that I hated, because just before I was going traveling, I was temping there, and I just got talking to someone, and she helped people like set up businesses. And she was like, oh, what do you do? Blah, 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 blah. And I told her, and normally you're like, oh, I'm an actor. And people are like, oh, right. But what do you really do? Or like, oh, okay, sure you are. But yeah, I was like, oh, I act. And she was like, oh my God, I know someone that I need to put you in contact with. So she just put me in contact with this person who she was helping set up a stage school. And I taught drama there and was the deputy principal for his stage school for 4 or 5 years. And then he's a singer, and he's sort of gone back to singing. After the pandemic, I think lots of people couldn't make money how they were used to making money, and everyone got used to just being broke. So then when people were like, when the industry started opening up and like gigs were happening and shows were being put on, he was getting offers, and he was just like, I have to go do this. So he took a step back from the stage school. I rebranded and made it my own. And now I have the Act One Academy, which is just an inclusive stage school, which is for children aged 5 to 18. I say I'm all about ambition over ability. I'm not, it's just like a fun place for kids to come and just gain confidence. And I just try and be obviously a good teacher and pass on the knowledge that I know, but more importantly, just try and be like the best cheerleader that they could have whilst they're growing up. So then they just think that they can do anything, probably creating little monsters to set out into the world. But I'm just like, yeah, you can do it. Like, this is going to be brilliant. So yeah, that's what I do. And I really love it. And I think when I was at uni, people were like, oh, you'd be really good on kids TV, or you'd be really good at this. And I was always like, oh no, like I'm gonna, I'm serious, blah, 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 blah. But now I do quite a lot of work with children and I really love it. I do, immersive theatre, storytelling for like a national company that sort of tours all around the country, putting on little shows. And yeah, it's just something that it's a passion that I didn't think that I would have, that I really love. So yeah.
How fun is that?
Yeah, very cool. You're busy.
I'm busy, but I think literally for those 2 years when the pandemic happened, I know it was really difficult for everyone, but I think particularly in an industry where no is what you hear all the time, and then all of a sudden there's just nothing. There's not even a no. There's not even an email. And you know, during that time, I literally felt like I had no purpose. And it's really difficult because my husband is like so driven and so brilliant at like everything that he does, and it's really annoying. And like he says he's going to do something and he succeeds, and it's like but also like, go you, because yay, supportive, but also like, oh, why can I not do that? So yeah, I think now everything's just opening up. I'm just kind of feeling a bit more like I've got a purpose, and like, oh, I can do things. Because for 2 years I just felt like, oh my God, what can I give the world? I've got a drama degree. Ooh.
Yeah.
Can't save the day with that.
Well, the thing with that though, like with acting, like you said before, it's all about, I mean, unless you're doing theater, there's no really instant gratification, because you work hard, you have to sit there and you have to wait for it to come to fruition, then have to find a distributor and all that. I mean, like you said, it's not just an overnight process, so if you're going to there, and it's like he's winning the short race, but you're going to win the marathon, because your projects come out, they keep rolling out like that. I mean, that's how it is for every actor though, unless you do theater. If you do theater, then you could do that every night, all night. It's like, here I am. Come see me in something, Shakespeare or something like that. So it's just it is sort of difficult, I would think, to sit there and watch something being done overnight, and you want that same sensation, but you got to realize that that's not your profession. Your profession isn't built on instant gratification. It's built on longevity and time. And so, and that, he understands that. I mean, anybody who's been around acting knows that,
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think it's difficult to like not compare yourself when you are obviously within the same like household, and like someone is doing. And like literally for those 2 years, I was like, I at one point I was like, I would do anything. Like I'll go clean some toilets. Like I just need to feel like I can do something. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah.
John wants to know. Some folks are dropping some questions here. John wants to know any plans for TV. Are you going to try to make a run at doing some TV? You guys have a really good.
To be on the telly. I would love it. I have got a new agent now, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's finally a new agent.
Yeah, so I've got a new agent now, and yeah, I'm hoping that I would really love. John's from the UK, isn't he? Is this John from the UK?
Yeah, John Shelton. Yeah.
Right, John. I want to be in like an ITV 3-part. Or not even 3-part. I just want to be in like a really good drama that's, the ones that are on ITV, because they're the best ones. And yeah, so I'd love to do that. But let's be honest, even if Hollyoaks called me and was like, do you want to have a go on Hollyoaks? Do you know what Hollyoaks is?
Is that like Coronation Street?
It's worse. But yes, sort of. Like Hollyoaks is the place where like the pretty people go. The pretty people go to act, and like everyone's like, and you're just like, where are these people on the streets? I haven't seen them. So I mean, there are good actors in Hollyoaks as well. Not discrediting anything, but even if they were like, do you want to have a go in one of our episodes? I'd be like, of course. So yeah, absolutely. I'd love to do TV, and I'd love to do something in which you can see like character development, and you can see like the growth of a character. Because that's the thing, obviously with films, like it's just one thing, and unless obviously like you get a sequel and then you can kind of see a bit of development, but I think it's kind of nice to like I'd love to be in something where like an audience had chance to kind of like really buy into your character and get like emotionally attached like I do when I watch things, and you know, you get angry because your favorite character's doing wrong things, or you know, like
I will
for
say
example,
that's
The
a
Walking
gift
Dead,
that
I
you
stopped
do have.
walking. Sorry.
I will say that's a gift that you do have, and you know, in the process that I've seen, and I think Karen will agree with me on this, is that your characters are instantly likable. We do care about your characters.
Oh, thank
You
you.
know? Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I could totally see you in a series, a TV series, and watch you. Absolutely, you're very charismatic.
mhm,
Thank you.
You
yeah.
are. I'm not just saying that either. It sounds like I'm just saying, but I'm not. I think you are. I could really watch you in something like that. You should manifest it now.
Okay, please, universe. I have got my crystals on there. Just that they're in the moonlight, and I'm like, come on, someone send something down. But yeah, I think like I remember watching on The Walking Dead, and I watched the first couple of episodes, well, the first couple of series of that, and when my favorite character was no more, I was like not watching it, and I haven't watched it since because my favorite character isn't in it, and I would love to be that character. To, you know, I would love for someone to be like, oh, they killed her off, so it's rubbish now, the whole thing's ruined, I don't want to ever watch it again. Like, I would love that.
Jamie's asking you, are there any actors or directors that you would like to work with if you had your way? Who what actors would you like to share a scene with, and who would you like to be directing it?
I think so. There's an actress called Saran Jones. She's a British actress. She does a lot of sort of series. She started off in soaps, and I think like everything that she touches is just gold. I just think like everything, she just has like such a great stage presence, and all the roles that she everything that she is in is good. So that, and I will watch anything that she's in because I know that she's a good actress and she only seems to do good things, and I think everything that she does is quite gritty. So I would love to I'd love to have a scene against her, you know, one of those batting it over things. I'd love to have an argument with her or something because I think that would be brilliant. But I think in terms of like maybe, I don't know, big famous Hollywood actors, I don't know, because I watch a lot. Do you know my problem? I watch a lot of the same stuff that I've watched many times. If I've watched something, I'll just watch it again. I like the familiarity of it all. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to be like, oh, you know, so and so from. Oh, let me think on that.
He's also saying that he says he could imagine you on Coronation Street, and he loves The Walking Dead.
I loved The Walking Dead until Glenn died.
What character was it?
Glenn.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Because I was just like, they were nothing without him. Yeah. Without him, they'd all still be in that field at the beginning, having babies, doing nothing.
Right.
And it was such a and I thought he was such a good actor. Like I bought into him, and like he was, broke my heart. It really broke my heart.
It was horrifying. It was a horrifying death too.
Yeah. And I think the only other time that I've been like is so I didn't watch Game of Thrones when it was huge. I watched it like last year with Dan, and Dan was like, oh my god, you need to watch Game of Thrones, and I was like, fine, I'll watch Game of Thrones. I won't even like it. And you know, when you're like, I'm not gonna like it, well, after like the second episode, I was like, this is amazing. And there's I think it's called The Red Wedding. I don't know if you've seen.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. Hysterical. And obviously when Ned Stark, I was ready to stop watching then, and Dan was like, no, he gets avenged. I was like, okay, I'll watch it.
Plus Gwendolyn Christie was in it as Brienne, and that's my favorite character. Her and Tyrone. I absolutely love Gwendolyn. She is cool.
She was amazing.
Yeah.
Just put me in the Game of Thrones. All of those. I think not all of them. I don't think they were all super, super fantastic, but I think there was a lot of many fantastic actors in that. The Hound was great. I loved him.
Yeah, I finished the books. I haven't finished reading. I still have like three. I have 3 seasons to collect. I have 5 of the 8 seasons, so I haven't watched the Game of Thrones yet until then. I don't really watch the series until I got all the pieces, so
Yeah.
I'm not interrupted. But I know of it, by reading the books, and yeah, I can't wait for it. I can't wait to actually sit there and watch it.
I think it's definitely one of the best. It's one of the best, like, series of things that I've watched. I think they all kept you hooked. I think sometimes, like, Dan's still watching The Walking Dead, and sometimes I walk through and I'm like, oh my god, ridiculous! That would never happen. Yeah, as a tiger.
I jumped off that after probably around the time when you stopped watching it. I watched a bit after that, and then that was it.
Yeah, you were like,
I never got into Game of Thrones though, but I will.
It's so. Do you know what? Dan said, watch Game of Thrones, and I was like, no, it's a bit rapey for me. And it, I was like, I just don't know how I feel about watching that. And there's like incest, and he was like, yeah, but once you get past that, it's great. And I was like, oh, once you get past this. But honestly, once you get past that, it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard great things.
In the book, when you meet Jamie Lannister the first time you see him, and you're just like, oh my god, he's just like, why isn't his hit? How come he's still alive and Sean Bean's not?
Yes.
But at least in the book anyway, he actually goes through an arc of redemption. His character is actually he's an interesting character. He's not, he's got some real depth to him, and I really enjoyed the way Martin wrote him. I'm thinking that Nicholas Costas-Waldau probably did the same thing with the character. He's a really good actor. Nick, oh yeah, I could watch him in anything. He's really good. Does anybody have some more questions for our guest, Kelly? I know it's getting late over there. So last round of questions, huh?
It's 9:30.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Okay.
Because I don't want to keep you up too late. I'm really sorry about that. But we're having a lot of fun, though.
We are. I'm not gonna like turn into a pumpkin in 3 minutes. Don't worry.
Okay. Did you mention pumpkins? Uh-oh. I'll be expecting Hops to come here any minute now. Last round for questions. Mr. Dan says happy for Steven Yeun. He's getting some good roles. Yes, he is. He trying to think of some great roles. Mayhem and was it The Burning? I think it was The Burning or The Wailing. One of those two. That was really good. Mr. Dan says he's definitely watching the Ashcroft Entity soon. Yes, definitely worth it. I think where's it playing at, Karen? Is it on Tubi? The Ashcroft Entity? Okay.
Yes.
Tubi. Okay, so yep, on Tubi. Tubi has everything.
I'm so jealous I can't get it. It's not available.
You don't have it on yours. No, I'm not surprised. Our Netflix is different than American Netflix too. So
yeah. Okay, bunch of pumpkins going up. Okay, someone telling me something here. Kelly, you have any last questions, Karen, before we wrap it up?
I'm really looking forward to seeing the new stuff that you're doing. I'm gonna watch the Ashcroft Entity again too. I'm going to.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, wait till you see April. You'll be blown away by that. That'll be
for sure.
Definitely. I hope that people see that, and I hope he wins some awards for that once it gets out a little bit more. I think it's definitely the movie's definitely worth. It's a really good movie. And it shows off, so much talent, between you, Neil, Darren. I mean, yeah.
Darren was fantastic in it. Darren was really good in it. And I hadn't obviously seen that side of him, because when I went, he was director Darren. So he's behind a monitor, he's got a script, and he's not stressed, but he's really intense. And then I saw him obviously playing that character, and I was just like, oh. And then I messaged him, and obviously, and told him what I thought about it. And you know, Darren and I have got some plans to do a short together. It's written. Neither of us have got any money though, but you know, this is what it is. We've got there's plans. There's always plans. There's always, you know, there's a concept, and we've both said that when it happens, it'll be us two, and you know, that's it. But it's just about sort of like finding time and money, because
Yeah,
you know, everyone's
it's the hardest part about making films, isn't it? It's the money aspect. I mean, if the money was no problem, everybody'd be doing it.
exactly. I've got another person that I met on a theatre gig, and he's in Nottingham as well, so he was like, oh, we should do stuff, and so we're sort of sending scripts to each other, and it's just kind of nice to, like, even if it doesn't happen, or even if it doesn't happen for 6 months, it's nice to like be in that process and just kind of feel like, so then when, you know, I'm not getting an audition through or something, you know, whatever, you kind of feel like, oh, I'm still in it though, because I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and you feel like you're not just as good as your last role. Because that's what it is. You feel like unless you are acting, unless there's a camera on you or there's an audience in front of you, sometimes you think like, oh, what am I doing? Like, am I still an actor now? Yes, I'm an actor all the time, not just when I'm performing. So it's nice to kind of find other ways. And that's what I did with the makeup, just to try and find other things that would keep me creative, even if that just means it's just me in my bedroom. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yep. I want to thank everybody for coming out and supporting this interview. It means a lot to me. You guys have been outstanding in the chat. You guys are just kicked ass. Thank you so much. Karen, you're a true goddess. Thank you so much for coming out and co-hosting this with us. Karen is for Ocean Chicks Films, the Final Girls Collective. We'll take this chance, an opportunity right now to say hi to the Final Girls, especially Katie up there in New York. Hey, Katie. Hey, Katie. Killer Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Hey, Katie. Kelly, thank you so much for coming out and doing this again. As always, a delight. We will now I can actually come back and talk to you some more. I normally, before an interview, I always dry up because I don't want to talk about what we might be talking about during the interview. That's my process. There you go. It's not because I'm being standoffish. It's just like I want to save our chat for this. But now that it's over, now I'll be talking all over again.
We can be friends again.
This was so fun, Kelly. I'm so glad to meet you.
Oh yeah, it's so nice to meet you as well, Karen. I feel like we know each other now.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks again, everybody. We'll be back tonight here at 8 o'clock. We'll be back. I'll be interviewing actress Monique Candelaria for our As Women in Horror Month continues. That will be at 8 o'clock Eastern time. I hope I see some of you, if not all of you, then. Until then, peace. Stay right where you're at, ladies.
Bye, everybody.